We will begin with prasna. Om Sahanavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangamam Vyaptam Yatkinchit Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapityata Sarvam Tilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayana Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrutavarshiniം Bhagavatiಂ Ashtadashaധ്യായിനിം Amba Tvam Anusandadami Bhagavad-gite Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stuvanti Daivaihi Stavaihi Vedaihi Sangapadakramopanisadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Jnanavastita Gatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na viduhu sura suraganaha devaya tasmai namaha. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarvapapebhya mokshayishyami ma sucha. Now we will enter into 30 seconds cooling down, tranquilizing our mind. Around the 30 seconds, we will give about 2 or 3 minutes to go into and come out of it. So please let's start, and I will bring you back with Om Uchcharan. Om. 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 Last time we left at stanza number 36 in the third chapter. At this point, we have to ponder over one minor but very important thing. We all remember that while in the second chapter at the end, when we were hitting 18 stanzas, there was a question. And you are going to visualize here the remarkable characteristic of Arjuna, one who had no yutsa iti yuktva govindam tushrim babuva. Tushrim is a meditative tranquility. It is not an ordinary tranquility. There is not a single thought coming in his mind. But after stanza number 10 in the second chapter, iti yuktva rushikeshaha prasanna iva senayoho ubayoho madhye vishidantam vachaha. There is a word. Arjuna became tranquil. Tushrim is the Sanskrit word. It's a marvelous word. There is no translation for that word because it is a meditative tranquility. At that point, and that is one thing to be noted here, that he will enter your mind only if you have that tranquility, because there should be no room in the vessel of this big head. There is always some turbulence going on. When he started prahasanna eva, oh, what a marvelous word, prahasanna, and that infinite Advait started prahasanna, not with the attitude of argumentation, but he was divinely exhibiting out of his human form into that Advait. At the time, at that moment, time was passing by. And he observed this phenomenon. Arjuna was Tushrim and Sri Krishna was Prahasanna. Time was shocked. Oh, this is the moment never gonna come. One is Tushrim and another is Prahasanna. I want to stop by here and listen to what the Advait is going to narrate now. So the time stopped at that moment. And we are going through that. Stanza number 36 in chapter 3 is not the only stanza Arjuna is asking the question. You remember in chapter 2, he said, Sthita pragnasya ka bhasha You want to remember his questions. His questions are marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. Sthita pragnasya ka bhasha. That gave us the gift of 18 stanzas from Sri Krishna. Then we entered chapter number 3. He again asked the question. He is so alert, divinely alert now. His questions to a human being appear as if baffling to Sri Krishna also if he was not divine. The beginning of 3rd chapter, Jayasi chet karmanaha te mata buddhihi janardan. Hey Janardan, if buddhi is better than karma, he is asking the question now. Tat kim karmani gore mam niyojayati. Oh, then why do you put me? And we have to understand this niyojayasi Sanskrit word here as well as in stanza number 36 of chapter 3 that we are going to go. There are two places this niyojayasi. Some words you can only understand not by translating, but by visualizing the scenario. I'm going to give you the scenario for that. Then you will see what the niyojayasi means. The literal translation is constrained. That doesn't bring the 100% meaning of niyojayasi. You might have seen the bullock cart, two bulls pulling the cart. There is the string going through the nose. There is a strap in the neck tied to the cart harness. There are then two ropes tied to that nose rope. That situation, if you really realize, of the bullocks, that is called niyojaya. I would say in Gujarati also, એવા બાંધેલા છે કે કોઈ જગ્યાએ જઈ ના શકે. એવા બાંધેલા છે. એ આગળ જ જવું પડે એને. They have to move in the front. They have to move ahead. Or sometime maybe a little bit in the back, but nowhere else. So look at this word now. Tad kim karmani gore mam niyojayasi. Oh, where did he get that word, I say? Then why do you push me into this terrible acts? And that was the stanza of the beginning of this chapter. And we have been enjoying the narrative up to stanza number 35. Sri Krishna, while busy answering the question, the first question of this chapter. Now, stanza number 36. Athakena prayuktaha. Athakena prayuktaha. Then propelled by what? Impelled by what? Ayam papam charati purushaha. Then propelled by what the human being commit the scene. Now you may have a question. In stanza 62 and 63 of chapter number 2 and 34 of chapter 3, it is clearly mentioned how a human being would fall into that trap. Why then this question is arising again? We need a clarification here. Can move. The clarification is up to stanza 36, there were so many stanzas where the excuses were made for the prakriti born gunaha. If you remember that Sri Krishna says, oh, the men cannot do anything because they are driven by the gunas, the characteristics born from the prakriti. What can a human being do? He's going to do that anyway. That is the reason, even though 62, 63, and 34 clarified that, but because of this narrative in this chapter, this question is very appropriate. Atakena prayuktaha ayam papam charati purushaha. I give you confidence that even if you don't know Sanskrit a bit, just read this line again. Athakena prayuktaha ayam papam charati purushaha. I bet the translation will sprout in your head. Following line. Anichan api. Anichan api means without any desire. There is no desire in the mind. Anichan api varsne, hey Sri Krishna. Balad eva, by force. Balad eva. It is actually balat. Ta became the in Sandhi. Balat eva niyojitaha. And I explained the word niyojitaha. In Gujarati they said, તો પછી આ મારી બાંધીને મુસલમાન હું કામ કરવા બેઠા? You know. That is the appropriate translation in Gujarati of this stanza. So, with this marvelous, whenever Arjuna had the question and when the answering happens, there is an unbelievable wisdom, ocean of wisdom will come out. And let's begin that ocean of wisdom from stanza number 37. As I said, from chapter 3 we are cruising, and even though everything has been clarified in chapter 2, however, we are cruising, and that's why we are very leisurely going, so we can remember all this wisdom lifetime and in another incarnations also. As I said, when Sri Krishna says, Prahasanna iva, the time was passing by and he stopped at that point. Sri Krishna did not have to do anything to stop the time. Time himself stopped there. Really? How did that thing happen without Krishna doing anything? Hanumanji had a dilemma crossing the Indian Ocean to reach Lanka. Momentarily he paused and thought, how am I going to do this? And in a split second, there was a flashing. Pick up the stone and say, Ram. Put the stone in the ocean, and the stone started floating. He put stone after stone, and his army followed. And Ram, standing further away, was observing and was really surprised. Ram was a half human being. So he always exhibited a human quality, even though behind that facade there was the giant Vishnu. Many people miss that because he put his wife Sita in jungle when she was pregnant. This is the dilemma for many, many people. But you have to go in meditation. Anyhow, that Ram was watching. He was surprised. So midnight, he came out and he thought, let me pick up the stone and put it in the ocean. And he put the stone in the ocean and that sank, didn't float. And Hanumanji secretly was following him, so he was watching and he approached Ram. Sri Ram, what are you doing here midnight? Well, I was checking how these stones are floating. Oh, Hanumanji said, that is very simple. Really? Show me then. We are just using Sri Ram's name on the stone. You didn't do that. So even if Ram could not do, Sri Krishna did not have to stop the time either. The time stopped by itself. No miracle there. And when we will see that Lorentz formula, you will also see the time has the ability to shrink itself or enlarge itself, either way. So 37 stanza here. Kamaha, it is written without the visarga because of sandhi. Kamaha eshaha, krodhaha eshaha, rajo guna samudbhavaha. This Kam and Krodh, born out of Rajaguna, Rajaha Guna, Sattvic Gun, Rajogun, and Tamasic Gun. So this Kam and Krodh has the birthplace in Rajoguna. Mahashana, all devouring. You know, in California, when there is fire, it devours all the trees, forest. Mahashanaha. Maha means big. Ashanaha, Agni. Kam and Krodh are compared with this Mahashanaha, all devouring. Mahapatma, all sinful. Viddhi enam iha vairinam. Viddhi, Agnakarak. Viddhi means know, you know. You know that this Kam and Krodh, born out of Rajoguna, are all devouring and sinful. They are your enemies, Varinam. They are your Varinam. It is desire. It is wrath. Krodha is wrath. Born out of Rajoguna. All consuming, all sinful. Know this as the foe, enemy here on this earth. What a potency he is attributing to Kam and Krodha. these two. At this point, I want to go into Jainism. They have the Navkar mantra. Namo Arihantanam, the first line. First line is nothing but this stanza number 37. All your internal enemies, whoever have conquered them, bow them. Namo Arihantanam. Namo Siddhanam. Whoever has accomplished this, bow them down. By bowing somebody who has accomplished, what happened? That respect generated from your head approaches that person and bring back a lot of blessings, which we don't see, but that is the phenomenon occurred in physics. Namo Uvajjayana. Namo Ayariyana. Namo Sauva Sadhuna. And then he says, Esho Panchakar Sauva Pavapanashana Mangalanam Cha Sauvesim Paramam Havai Mangalam. You go to learn physics in Japan or go to Germany, you come back with the same knowledge. So my friends, go to Jainism, go to Buddhism, go to Islam. You will come back with the same bag of knowledge. There have been a lot of wars historically fought after the religious principles. What did they understand? Absolutely nothing. Ramakrishna Paramhans had the laboratory. 6 months he became Christian. 6 months he became Muhammad. And so he went through all the religious things. Each time he was entering his heart. Hey, go through any door. My palace has zillion doors. Enter from anywhere. There is no darwan. There is nobody to stop you. You will eventually reach me. Therefore, my friends, never ever say, oh, who are you, Hindu? Well, when they ask me, I say, well, I should have put the label on my shirt. I'm Hindu. Or I should have put the label if Muslim ask, oh, do you read Quran? I say, yes, better than you have understood. Many Christians come at the door. Oh, you have no salvation without going to Jesus. I say, oh, really? Come back to my room where I worship and ask any question from Bible, and let's see whether some another scripture can explain you or not. The conversation would go about a couple of hours, and after that, they would bow down in my prayer room. They say, oh, no, you don't need anything. Well, really? I'm just giving you a very elementary proof that close your eyes and he will come in your head. He is everywhere. Stanza number 38. Dhumen means smoke. Third vibhakti. Dhumen avriyate is enveloped. Vahnihi yatha adarshaha. Just like the smoke will cloud the mirror by dust, who has become clogged by dust. Yatha ulbena avruttaha garbhaha. Just like the embryo by the womb. See, there is yatha tatha. Tatha ten idam. Who is Tena? Tena is a third vibhakti. Tena means Kama and Krodha in the previous stanza. He is referring to that by Tena. Tena avrutam, by that Kama and Krodha. You are enveloped. You is the small self, the Atman. Kama and Krodha are so powerful. They can cloud. They can cloud the small self, and therefore your buddhi, your action, everything is not out of Jagruti, out of awake. You are half drowsy, half drunken. But when you are drunken, you will have a feeling, oh, I have the supreme buddhi. I know everything. That is the real problem. As fire is enveloped by smoke, as a mirror by dust, as an embryo by womb, so is this covered by that. So the meaning of is covered by, so is this. This is referred to small self, and that is referred to Kama and Krodha. When you read the Gita, even if you read one stanza or even one phrase, and if your mind stop right there, stop means stop without understanding, no, because it has understood wholeheartedly. That is why the mind stopped here. When that thing happened, put the book away. You have read the whole Gita. Reading the Gita, there would be a lot of divine experiences. You are approaching the Gita. But the Gita has more acceleration to approach you. And please read the Gita only in this type of tuning. Never read mechanically. Get lost completely. Get lost. Avrutam gnanametena gnaninaha nityaverina. And this way the wisdom is clog, wisdom is envelope, wisdom of the wise people. Kamarupena konteya duspurena analena cha. Kamarupena, rupa, form. In the form of desire, this never satisfied duspurena. You cannot satisfy desire. Kamarupena duspurena analena. Anal, Agni. That desire is so much fire, is never going to satisfy you. Knowledge is covered. O son of Kunti, Konteya is the word in the second line. O son of Kunti. O son of Kunti. That is the style of Sanskrit to make children name from mother's name. Kunti, then it is Konteya. Knowledge is covered, O son of Kunti, by this insatiable fire of desire. The constant foe, the constant enemy of the wise. Even the wise people, for them also this is enemy. So I think one of the implementable stanza is desire and anger. If you want to remove this, go in the corner, go into meditation, find out all the seeds, one after another, in you. What is generating desire? જીવનમાં શું ઓછું પડેલું છે હજુ? What is not obtained in the whole life? Weed out, pull out those seeds. Analyze, and if you think you can achieve them, my friend, go ahead and achieve them. If you think these are not achievable, burn them. The burned seeds never grow when they are put in the farm. This is called Nirbija Samadhi. Then keep going this way. Put all the desires in right perspective. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 1 month, 1 year. Second thing is, when do you become angry? And most of the time, you become angry because the small self was not behind. That means you were not awake. Stay awake all the time. So these are the two ways you can burn them and throw them away. And then put yourself to the test also. That with the usual situation, you had the desire used to sprout. Does it still sprout? The second is anger. Does it still enter your head? Without practice, reading the stanza doesn't do a damn. We have to. That is one of the problem. That is why people take sannyas and go in some mutt and make a guru and whatever. Is there any need for that kind of thing? If you have achieved the right understanding of the Vedanta, you do not need to put the saffron robe and run away from your home. You can do in the corner of your home. Indriyani manah buddhihi asya adhishthanam uchyate. This is in passive voice. Indriyani, again the senses came back. The senses, the mind, the buddhi, asya adhishthanam etaihi vimohayati eshaha nanam avrutya dehinam. Dehinam is one who is living in deha, means the small self, dehinam. This senses, the mind and the intellect, three things, are said to be its seat. Whose seat? Seat means batak. Kam and Krodh, where do they sit? Where do they relax themselves? First, when they enter. Are said, the senses, the mind, and the intellect are said to be its seat. So there are three things where this Kam and Krodh enter and then take their seats. By these it delude man by veiling his wisdom. And by sitting there, they delude the wise person. So again, there is an advice coming here. Tasmat tvam. There's a marvelous sandhi here. Tasmat tvam indriyani adau. Therefore, from the very beginning, adau means very beginning. Very beginning. Tasmat, therefore. Niyamya Bharata Rushabha. Rushabha, the best. Hey Bharata Rushabha. Hey the best of Bharat. Papmanam Prajahi. Prajahi, this is another word from Jainism. Prajahi. Hienam gnana vignana nashanam. You kill this papi. Who is the papi? This calm and crowed. You kill them because they destroy the wisdom within you. We will read the stanza 42. There are only two left for the end of the chapter, but I will read and I want to stop here for questions. And I will not go into understanding. Indriyani parani ahuhu indriyebhyaha param manaha. But it is easy to translate also. The senses are superior to body, and man is superior to indriyas. Manahatu para buddhihi, and buddhi is superior to man. And now is the punchline coming. Yaha buddhehe paratah tu saha. But superior to the buddhi is saha. He always used this phrase, saha, tad, te, for the small Atman and the big Atman. So he has given here again this Sankhya philosophy's hierarchy. Body, senses, mind, buddhi, and then that he's saying saha. The reason he is using saha, and the meaning is that, so he's only pointing the finger, that, oh, that, you go and find him, that, you know. What a marvelous way of saying that. The Atman, the real person, he's using the phrase that. He's standing away from you. He's that, so go, you know. What a marvelous hierarchy here. Senses are superior to body. Mind is superior to senses. Buddhi is superior to man. And te, that, is superior to buddhi. And I tell you one thing. If he is the most superior and is standing away, if one of us is brave man, we'll go after him. Go after him. Go after him. Go after him. You will reach the point no matter what you have to renounce, you will go after that. Our purpose is that. We are not sitting here and wasting our time. Going through the Gita, if the final is understood, all of our worldly activities will dissolve. You don't have to wait for one prasthavastha, according to our Hindu tradition. Many of us are maybe gruhasthavastha, and then after 75, it is vanaprasthavastha, and the last is sannyasavastha. That is Hinduism. Which Hindu is following that? Swami Vivekananda was not ignorant. He wanted to send the Vedanta message, and the meaning of Vedanta is Gita, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra. He wanted to send the message of all these prasthantrai to each and every household, each and every household. But one of the pathetic situation is when the stars sunset, we all forget about that person. We all forget about their actions. That is what the human nature is. Anyhow, we will stop at stanza 42 and we'll, for about 10 minutes, pick up questions. And after 10 minutes, I will have to shut off the video and then we will go to Sanskrit friends for a few minutes. So let's have about 10 minutes. Any dilemma that you want to discuss, we can do that. Yes, Anand bhai.
Amrit bhai, I have not read Quran and don't know much about Islam. You mentioned that Swami Ramakrishna made himself go into or accept different religions
Yes.
to experience of what other religions tell him.
Yeah.
One of those was Islam. Um, what I read and hear from the news and media, Islam has been interpreted in so many different ways by different commentators. Some saying that it has the same message as the other religions advocate, and there are some that say it is very different in the
Right.
sense that it actually approves of some kind of violence. So I don't know what to believe. What exactly is the absolute underlying message of Islam, and how does it compare with
I'm
the
gonna
message?
I'm gonna give you the underlying message right now.
Okay,
Swami, the Ramakrishna Paramhans, he for the 6 month duration he became that religion person. So he did with Islam also.
right.
Quran is written in Arabic language, and I'm going to speak only the first stanza of Quran. I can read the Quran as well, but let me tell you what Quran is. When we do namaz in masjid, we put our elbows to our belly surrounding the navel area, nabi, and the hands on forehead and face and bow down. Try yourself what will happen, you will see. Then they speak the first stanza. They call it surah, just like we call Sloka in Gita. They call it surah. And here we go. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What a what a divine beginning. Hey Almighty, Bismillah, Hir Rahmah. Hey Almighty, all merciful. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Malik din Vayyaka Nabodo. And it goes on. By bowing down, the devotee would say, Hey Allah. Many times I tease our Hindu friends, they say, Jai Sri Krishna. And I would tease, only a good friend. If I don't know, I would not tease. I would say, Jai Sri Allah. And a good friend, knowing me, will get the message that he is praying the same Sri Krishna. But this first surah says, Hey, all merciful, almighty. Same tradition in our Sanskrit sloka also, first line we praise the divine. In the second line, we ask for something now. So here the second line, Hey, merciful, almighty Allah. I am at your feet. You are the only one I need. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. What a marvelous prayer. I said before, there were a lot of wars fought in the name of religions. Why? Because religions did not only stay in the hands of the wise people, just like the computers did not stay in the real users. They are in the hands of hackers also. That is why all this ID theft and things happen.
Right.
So that dushan is in religion also.
Okay.
Please remember. If the Supreme Advait himself has spoken to anyone in any garb, do not ignore that. In the Gita it will come. He says, Janma karma chame vitti tattvataha. Whoever will know me, not Krishna, the Advait, who have revealed himself to many different people. He says, Janma karma cha vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham na punarjanmayeti mame vayeti. That person who has gone, who has come to me through any religion, understanding my purpose of the birth and purpose of my actions, for him after leaving the body will have no rebirth. He will come to me. So Sanat Bhai, I think after saying this much, I hope you get the answer.
Thank you.
But did you get the answer, Sanat Bhai?
But as I said, there are people and they may be misunderstanding Islam, but they say that in Islam, in Quran, somewhere, I have never read it, that somewhere it says that for the kafirs, the non-believers in Allah that it is okay to kill them. Is that true?
That Allah include Krishna also and Jesus also, because that is the real Allah, that is the real Advaita. They are referring to Advaita, they have misinterpreted the whole thing. That is why.
All right.
Same thing the Christians,
Amrut Bhai,
one second. Same thing the Christians say. If you don't surrender Jesus, you will go to hell.
Right.
What they say is if you don't surrender to Jesus means if you don't surrender to Advaita. There is a meaning there, which only the person to whom it has been revealed, they understood. And therefore Jesus night before said loudly, my Father and I are one.
Right.
So please go to the root of the business. It is the half-baked thing that brings the misleading messages. Chandrakant Bhai?
Thank you.
Amrut Bhai,
Yeah.
I have to ask you a couple of things.
Yeah.
Our families came from Sindh. I was born in Karachi.
Yes.
If you ever lived among the Muslims, let me tell you, if you as a kafir use the word Allah to address God, you would be liable to blasphemy, because kafirs are only allowed to use Khuda. They cannot say Allah. Now you tell me, have you spoken to any educated and well-read Islamic scholar who agrees with you that the paths are many, but the destination is same, just like we do in Hinduism? I have yet to come across one. They will make you a blasphemous thing. If you're in Pakistan, your head would be chopped off by now.
Yeah.
If you tear a page from Bhagavad Gita, and if it was Quran, your
Right.
head will be chopped off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only people who accept all these things are Hindu philosophers and Hindus like us, who are willing
Yes.
to accept differences. It's a different path. But you tell an Muslim, an average Muslim, that this is the same path. If that one sentence is accepted by the Abrahamic religions, the paths are many, the destination is the same, the world would be without any religious problems at all. But
Yeah.
this is only the Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism that accepts these paths. So I'm sorry, I speak very passionately about this, because it's like a Jew. You tell him Nazis are very good people, you will know
Yes.
very quickly
Yeah.
that will be very refuted very quickly. And people who have suffered at the hands of Muslims, you have to ask them. I'm 79 years old. I was only 6 years old when we had to get on a freight ship from Karachi to save our lives,
Yeah.
leave our homes, bring all the children to Mumbai, where we were treated as refugees, even though we were Indian, coming from India. So, of course, I'm speaking a little passionately, because those passions don't subside very easily. I was only 6 years old.
Yeah, I do understand, and I have gone through a lot of those India, Pakistan, struggle, and I'm quite aware about the stories that you are saying. And one of the things, there are people like Gandhi, who every evening at the bhajan, Ishwar Allah Tero Naam, you know. There were people like that also, and who died for that principle. Many Muslims, when the Sufism came, they did not want to accept that, even though it was the same thing. And there was a saint named Masood. The way he was killed by Muslims was like thrown stones, cut hands, legs, etc. So these are not common stories. There are a lot of serious stories. Look at Jesus, for example. He was hanged and he was nailed. What a cruel thing, kind of thing. So the knowing the truth, sometime what Masood's guru did when they were torturing Masood, the guru came there also, but he did not speak a word. He chose not to say anything. So these atrocities, in the name of religions, is because the interpretation, who heard what, and all that type of thing. I think even after millions of years of the creation of this earth and all the other world, this thing, and that is what it is, the hatred for it. It is coming from the hatred. The hatred and other elements are going to leave as long as the world would leave. It happened in Ram's time also, it happened in Krishna's time also. These are also the elements among which we are living and we have to live, kind of thing. But for the truth seeker, they have to go, they have to rise above all these boundaries. If we live in the boundaries, we will not understand the Supreme properly. I would just,
Marut Bhai, sorry.
in the name of Jesus, he said the last words. Hey, my Father, please forgive them because they don't know. I would stop here. Chandrakant
I'll
Bhai,
make one comment,
please
one last comment.
go ahead.
We can speak like this to a group of Hindus, and even one can criticize Hinduism for certain things, and
Yes.
nobody will come after you. Have you ever spoken to a group of Muslims in this manner, and Christians for that matter, and see what they say, how they react to it? It'll be an interesting experiment to do, I think.
Yeah, I have many friends of both of those groups. And I may be lucky or whatever, or they may have true love for me. But to tell you the truth, all of the Qurans, all of the Bibles, they were presented to me from both of these groups. And with a great gratitude that Amrit Bhai, you have removed, you have given us some proper perspective of all these things. So whomever I had the encounter, they did not think that there are different gods and different narratives he gave. He just gave at different time to different people. And in order to live on this globe, Earth, mankind has come a long way in dissolving these differences, but they are still there. Their differences are still there. And I think we have to live with that. And we have to come up with the style of living life that we don't go and create clash out of this belief situation.
Amritbhai,
Yeah,
they say in the Quran it is written that it is okay to commit violence and kill those who do not believe in Islam. And because of that reason, we have seen tremendous violence against non-Muslims. And our parents personally experienced that during
right.
the partition.
Yeah,
So my question is, with that mindset, and that is the norm to them, that's what they grew up with, that's what they read day and night. And if that's the philosophy they carry, that it is not only okay to carry on violence and kill non-Muslims, but you will be rewarded for that. How in the world do we come to terms with similarities which are there depending upon how you interpret, like you interpreted the very first verse? But how many of them just stick with the first verse and say, oh, my Allah is same as your Krishna. In fact, my Allah is son of Krishna. Would anybody ever accept that?
I tell you one thing, it is impossible to bring the whole mankind under one philosophy. Only the wise on both sides do strongly believe that it is one and the same thing. However, the multitude, nobody is going to change them. Absolutely nobody. Because lions and tigers in the forest are created to devour other poor animals. Nobody can change that. And same way the human beings. I would not waste a single moment to change anybody. My philosophy is, if somebody is listening, I will give my opinion based on my understanding, based on my experiences. But I would have never the drive to convert anyone. Hey, do this way, no.
But that's the beauty of being a Hindu.
Because of the nature, as I gave the example of lions and tigers. The pythons, they are cruelly swallowing the whole animals. Who are going to change them? In the same fashion, when Gita was first translated into German and then English, many people were strongly against, because the first chapter was about the war, and then the second chapter began with fight the war. The misunderstanding, the English people, German, without going through the whole Gita, they just stuck at the chapter number 2 and they say, well, this religion is teaching violence. And it took quite a long time until some British and German Pandit studied at Kashi, and then they became professor at Oxford and Harvard and Göttingen, Germany. And they started teaching. Then their people listened to them, and then they understood that. So sometimes it take time, sometimes it take the time for style also, you know. All this is a very complex world, I tell you, and it doesn't have the easy answer. It absolutely doesn't have the easy answer. And if someone
Amrit,
come out and say, "Oh, I have the answer," no, my friend, you don't have the answer. So whatever I said is probably going to appear as incomplete answer.
not at all. Amrit bhai, the beauty is, at least as Hindus, first of all, we don't believe in converting. That's one of the religions that never has proselytized and gone around converting anybody in the world.
Yeah,
People, but these people obviously not only believe in conversion, but they believe in very devious means
right. Yeah,
to convert
yeah,
people. And that aggressive approach is obviously a dharma, according to at least my understanding of our dharma.
right.
So one cannot take a role of accepting that adharma just because we don't believe in doing that ourselves. So we have to stand up to the adharma in some ways rather than continue to tolerate the adharma.
Right. But see, that was the point, and I'm not supporting Godse here. But when he saw Gandhi was favoring the Pakistan and Muslim so much, that is why their extreme action, uh, you know, uh, happened. So what happened is when the wisdom loses its potency to convince the other person, it evolves violence. And that is what one has to watch. Keep the boundary until the violence. And that was Gandhi achieved very well through Satyagraha,
Mm-hmm.
freedom
Yeah.
from the British people without any weapon in his hand. That is an unbelievable achievement. Unbelievable. But the way he evolved the methodology to fight British, someday I think some hero may be born, come up with Gandhian kind philosophy or strategy to dissolve these differences and make the mankind as one mankind. I hope.
But then we read in Bhagavad Gita where Bhagwan Krishna says, all those means through wisdom, negotiation, and diplomacy have been tried, Arjuna. And in order to establish dharma again, you have to fight with this adharma. So there's another aspect of our philosophy also.
No, he was
Not
not. He
only,
was not telling to fight. That is a little bit misconception. He was just telling to follow the Kshatriya Dharma. To them, if an unexpected challenge comes in the blood of Kshatriya, they always fight. So not the fight for the fight's sake, but fight for the Kshatriya Dharma sake.
I understand, but to establish the dharma back rather than continuing with the adharma of Kauravas.
Right.
And to get back what was properly theirs, which Duryodhana refused. Uh, so the point is, up to a point with through the wisdom, but Bhagavan Krishna at that point, even he went himself as a messenger to try to convince Duryodhana. He didn't come to the war was not that easily decided. It was only after all the efforts had failed that the war was decided.
One of the problem
For
is
an average,
we see Krishna as a human being. We do not see him as infinite Advait. For example, if there would have been massive earthquake, Nobody would have gone under the rubbles and look for Krishna and say, oh, hey, Krishna, what did you do all these things? No, they say, oh, just nature did it. See, Krishna was a great nature also himself, and the nature did that. No question asked. I don't see the war as Krishna's war or like a human being's war. It was a divine episode where instead of earthquake, the arrows came in a different form. But it's a divinity played the role.
Divinity played the role in convincing Arjuna that adharma has to be stopped. That was the role of divinity. Bhagavan Shri Krishna didn't tell him to fight, but he told him to stop the adharma.
Yeah, but that is what the armies kept and all that. They are assigned. They go into that and they take care of that. We, as a regular citizen, if we believe we should go for war, then I think we might want to join the army kind of thing. But we cannot.
Not thank God for Mahabharata wars. We got Bhagavad Gita. What could be better gift than that?
No, I'm giving the rational language here that how would you fight? Yes, I would fight, but I cannot fight as myself. I have to go to the war and understand and learn the technique and how to shoot the enemies and all that type of thing, So then I would have fulfilled my desire. And some people have that goal, and that's why they go to army. Like a lot of kids, American kids, they go to army because they want to go to Afghanistan and fight, They want to go to Iran and fight, So there are ways to solve the equation here.
Now we won't go into the politics of this country. That's going to be a terrible topic to talk about. So
that's okay. We will order pizza someday when the corona.
That would be lovely.
would have nice discussion on the pizza table with Coke and all that type of thing, But I admire your questioning this thing. I thank you very much for all of your.
Thank you, Amit Bhai.
Not a problem, and
thank you very much.
As I said, I am from my. Please know that I have gone through these questions in my head. They are not coming as spontaneous answers. I have thought a whole lot. I have gone in interaction with tons of my Muslim friends, tons of Christians friends, and all of that experience has given me and given them as well the wisdom of this religious business, But the goal of the Gita, I want to just kind of give one explanation and then I will stop the question and answers. When Vishwamitra forcefully was dragging Kamdenu guy from Vasishta's ashram, Vasishta allowed Vishwamitra, he was a guest, that okay, if the cow can go with you, you can take it. And the cow did not want to go. The cow stood with 4 legs right there. And so he put the army. And to that point, Vasishta was very quiet. But when he saw the army started torturing the cow, he came in the middle. He stood between Vishwamitra and Kamdenu guy. Vishwamitra then thought this is a war. So he started shooting all kind of Ban Vidya arrows. And Vasishta had a 4-foot stick in his hand. Just like the older people walk with a small stick. In my 11th grade, the Sanskrit class, the teacher was explaining this way. And then Vasishtha Tani Sharani Yashtya Nivarayan. પેલી લાકડી આમ હલાવતા હતા 4 ફૂટની અને ભયાનક બાણ વર્ષા ચાલે છે. અને ત્યારે વિશ્વામિત્રને ત્યારે અક્કલ આવી કે મારું રાજબળ તો આની આગળ બિલકુલ નકામું થઈ ગયું. અને એણે એના ધનુષ બાર બધું ફેંકી દીધું અને કહ્યું દિગ્બલમ રાજબલમ, આ રાજબળને ધિક્કાર છે. બ્રહ્મ તેજો બલમ બલમ. આ વશિષ્ઠ ઘરડો માણસ 4 ફૂટની લાકડીથી મારા બધા અસંખ્ય બાણોને નિવારી રહેલો છે. અને આ પાઠ અમને 11મા ધોરણમાં સંસ્કૃતમાં ચાલેલો અને એ શિક્ષક કેટલા બધા માર્વેલસ હતા કે જેની વાત નહીં. એટલે આજે તમને રજૂ કરું. હવે આ જે રિલિજિયસ બિઝનેસની વાતચીત કરી અને ગીતાનું અધ્યયન ચાલે છે. Our goal is to go into Vasishtha's path, Brahma Vidya. Go into that path. Surrender to Sri Krishna. If I am a true devotee, let him do whatever he wants to do, etc. So keep this. Vasishtha also could have called his army and then fought with the arrows. No, he didn't do that. The Brahma Vidya. એને કોઈ કાંઈ કરી ના શકે. આગળ તાત્યા તોપે વખતે 1856 બળવો થયેલો અને બધાને મારી નાખેલા બ્રિટિશોએ. ગાંધીને મારી નાખેલો હતો. એ નહીં મરાયો, ગાંધી નહીં મરાયો. Why so? I want to give a little bit of insight. If you think very logically, એક લાકડી વગર એણે બ્રિટિશને હાંકી કાઢ્યા. આપણે તો એક ગાય કે ભેંસને હાંકી કાઢવી હોય ગામમાંથી તો લાકડી જોઈએ. આણે તો આખું બ્રિટિશ રાજ હાંકી કાઢ્યું. Who can do that? What kind of soul can do that if you think logically? And don't ask, please, any physical proof of the statement I am going to make. He was Yudhishthir, Satyavadi. He was born as Gandhi. Sardar Patel, મુસલમાનો એક ગાડી હિન્દુઓની કાપીને મોકલી ગુજરાતમાં. એણે 2 ગાડી ભરીને મુસલમાનોને કાપીને મોકલી દીધા. સરદાર પટેલ, એ ભીમ. પેલો નહેરુ ગુલાબનું ફૂલ પહેરીને જ ફર્યો અને કપડાં તો એના સ્વિટ્ઝરલેન્ડમાં ધોવા જતા. મોજ શોખ જ કરી એણે તો. નિકુળ, જેનો વસવસો યુધિષ્ઠિરને રહી ગયેલો કે માદરીના કિડ્સ ગાદી એને સોંપવી જોઈતી હતી, તો આખરે એને સોંપી બીજા અવતારે. આ 3 માણસોને ઓળખવા જેવા છે તમારે. પુનર્જન્મ એ બહુ સત્ય વસ્તુ છે. માણસોની કેરેક્ટરિસ્ટિક બહુ ઝીણવટથી તમે ચકાસો તો એ એમને હવામાંથી કેરેક્ટરિસ્ટિક ઉત્પન્ન નથી થતી. બધા ખોરાક પાણી સરખો જ ખાય છે. Where are the qualities coming from? So this is another thing that we have to remember. The Hindus have tremendous tolerance, tremendous way ahead in the philosophy. The Gita and Upanishad, they are taught around the world. The Sanskrit prathanas are done in Germany in schools, England, Switzerland. We are very respected people. Why do we have to worry? We just should enjoy this heredity we have.
Absolutely.
Amrit Bhai, they
Absolutely.
are being taught in other countries, but India finally had a true Indian as a prime minister at last. Otherwise, they were all British prime ministers that ruled India for all these years. You speak to a young person in India about Bhagavad Gita, they have no idea what the characters are. Nothing, basic knowledge.
But Chandrakant Bhai,
And that is a sad part. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh Chandrakant Bhai, please wait.
Yeah, yeah.
હું પણ ઇન્ડિયામાં જ જન્મેલો હતો. 30 વર્ષ સુધી ઇન્ડિયામાં મોટો થયેલો. કોઈ પંડિતના ઘરે ના જન્મેલો. કોઈ વાતાવરણ પણ ના હતું. હું ચંપલ પહેર્યા વગર કોલેજમાં ગયેલો. પહેલો પેન્ટ, હું લેક્ચરર થયો 20 વર્ષે ત્યારે પહેલો પેન્ટ મારું પહેલું લેક્ચર હતું ક્લાસમાં ત્યારે પહેરેલો. અને જો એ માણસ એક એક્ઝામ્પલ સેટ કરી શકતો હોય, કે તમે ગમે ત્યાં હોય, ગમે તે સ્થિતિમાં હોય, તમે કરવાના હોય તો કરી શકો. અને એ તમારી વાત ઘણી સાચી છે કે ઇન્ડિયામાં જાગૃતિ એ નથી આવી. પણ એટલો ગૌરવ છે કે આ ફિલોસોફીનું ઉદ્ભવ સ્થાન ત્યાં છે. એ ધરતીનો ગૌરવ છે મને. એ સંસ્કારોનો મને ગૌરવ છે. એટલે જ તમારી સામે હું બેઠેલો છું. બીજો કોઈ હેતુ નથી. એક દિવસ જ્યારે પ્રજા જાગશે ત્યારે ફરીથી આવશે. કારણ કે હમણાં 2-3 શ્લોક પછી એ શ્લોક આવે છે કે મેં ભાઈ પહેલા વિવસ્વતને કહેલું, પછી એણે મનુને કહ્યું, ને મનુએ ઇક્ષ્વાકુને કહ્યું, ને પછી કાળે કરીને એ યોગ ભૂસાઈ ગયેલો. તે તને આજે કહેવા બેઠો છે. હજારો વર્ષનો ટાઈમ લેપ્સ થયેલો તે વખતે પણ, અત્યારે પણ થઈ રહ્યો છે. પણ ફરીથી જાગૃતિ આવશે. બી પેશન્ટ. દીપકભાઈ. માઇક્રોફોન.
અમૃતભાઈના એક શબ્દો સાચા છે. એમનો હું સાક્ષી છું. હું એમનો સહાધ્યજ છું અને એક શબ્દ સાચો છે એ મારા બધા મિત્રોને વિનંતીથી કહું છું. એક પણ શબ્દમાં અતિશયોક્તિ નથી અને 100% સંપૂર્ણ સત્યતા છે ને મને એની બહુ ખુશી છે. એનો હું આભાર માનું છું.
Well, I tell you one thing. આ દીપકભાઈ અને હું ક્લાસના એન્ટ્રન્સ આગળ એક રેલિંગ હતી, ત્યાં ટેકવીને બ્રેક ટાઈમે ગપ્પા મારતા ત્યારે મેં જોયેલું. દીપકભાઈ was a very small looking physically very kiddish personality. And that time in my mind, without speaking, I was speaking in my head. આ માણસ ઘણો નાનો દેખાય છે, પણ ઘણો મોટો છે. You know, that is the only introduction I have to give of this Deepak Bhai. You know, બીજી એક introduction મારે આપવી છે કે દીપક ભાઈ એક મૂર્ધન્ય જેને કહેવાય, મૂર્ધન્ય is a ગુજરાતી શબ્દ. મૂર્ધન એટલે હેડ, અને જેના હેડની અંદર અત્યંત વિઝડમ ભરેલું છે, મૂર્ધન્ય. જેટલા લેક્ચર્સ એમણે આ ગીતાના એટેન્ડ કર્યા, દરેકે દરેક લેક્ચરનું એમણે એક 10 લીટીનું કાવ્ય લખે છે, એને એ જોડકણું કહે છે. મારી કલાકની વાત એટલી બધી સ્પષ્ટ રીતે એ 10 લીટીમાં કહી જાય છે કે જ્યારે હું વાંચું ત્યારે મારું હેડ સ્પિન કરે છે એ માણસ. મને એમ કે હું જે કરું એના કરતા અનેક ગણું આ કરે છે. મારા ગુજરાતી ફ્રેન્ડ્સને મારી વિનંતી છે કે દીપકભાઈનું ફોન નંબર આપણા ગીતા ગ્રુપ વોટ્સએપમાંથી લઈને એમની પાસે એ છેલ્લા 10 કાવ્યો મેળવી લેજો અને જોજો કે હું સાચો છું કે નહીં. એ વાંચ્યા પછી લગભગ 1000 જેટલા કાવ્યો એમનો ગ્રંથ જેવું બનાવેલું છે અને એ ગૂગલ ઉપર મૂકેલું છે. તો એની પણ લિંક તમે મેળવી લેજો, અને જે મજા મેં માણી ને બીજા બધાએ માણી એ તમે પણ માણો એવી મારી આશા છે, particularly for this Gita's part. Thank you. Anyone else? I think my Sanskrit people may be a little bit excited. Can we stop, or I can take one more last question? No more question? Okay.